Hello, everyone. It's Teresa Palmer here.
And Sarah Wright Olsen. Welcome to the Mother Days. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys are in for a treat today. We are so excited. We have Nousha Salimi here, and she is a beauty expert. She is a registered nurse. She is a Reiki master. She's also a songwriter, which is pretty freaking cool. And we are excited because we had a beauty episode a few months ago, and you guys went nuts over it, and we didn't have a clue what we were talking about. So we were like, we need to get a beauty expert in here because we have questions. We know you guys have questions. So we want to talk about all the things. Nousha, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. I feel so honored to be on this show, and I'm so happy to be here.
We have so many questions for you. It's so funny. I think so do our audience, because this episode that we did, Sarah was actually like, oh, that's so funny that you want to do an episode about that, Teresa, because I'm like, I like never, ever really take care of my beauty needs. And I was like, I do think it's a conversation we should start having on the show, because so many people have reached out to us saying that they've been thinking of just focusing a little bit more time and energy on their skincare routine. Some people have been like, maybe I dip my toe into the Botox, maybe I don't. And we were like, let's just have a conversation about this and see where it goes. And it happened to be one of the most popular episodes that we've ever had on the Mother Day. So we're like, right, let's get Nousha on, and we want to unpack the whole thing with you. Maybe let's just start with some of the things that you're trained in, and what's your particular favorite beauty treatments?
Okay, so much to unpack. Yes. I feel like it's the biggest question for mothers, for pregnant women, for people who are not like the younger generations now. Everyone is so curious about Botox now because it's so streamlined, but there's also so much stigma around it. And for me, in my particular practice, like what I really want to achieve is helping break that stigma in a way that we can just help people feel okay with doing small treatments, keeping their face looking natural, aging gracefully, aging beautifully, and being like, oh, this is just a part of my routine, and not having any attachments to it. Like, okay, I'm changing my face. Cause like most of my clients who come in are people that I'm breaking Botox cherries to. Like I only tend to attract people who are frightened of getting it because my approach is very natural, or who have had, not so great experiences where they've been overdone and they look a little bit crazy. So I think, it's such a interesting topic because we all want to look and feel our best. And and when we start to question, oh, should I start doing more for my skincare routine? Should I start focusing in on this? Should I not be doing this? I mean, it's such valid, normal questions. Does that answer the question?
Yes, definitely.
And then the beauty question too. You asked what my favorite beauty treatment was.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's
your favorite?
Like, what's your thing when you're like, this is my must-have? I know that this is the way that I treat my skin.
So right now, within my practice, I only offer 3 things until literally a week ago. This new product has come out and become FDA approved. So it was perfect timing doing this podcast because it is literally like the mother of all things of products because it is the most natural filler you can get. In Australia, I know it's already FDA approved. It's called Profilo. I don't know if anyone's heard of it or not, but it is essentially an injection of pure hyaluronic acid. So it is not voluminous. It is so for my clients who really appreciate the natural aging process, but want to look good for their age, which is so fine and okay. It is basically doing micro drops of pure hyaluronic acid into the jawline, into these oral commissures right here, into the areas along the cheek. And what it does is doesn't make you puffy or big. It actually just tightens and thickens the skin, because as we age, when we start to notice wrinkles, when we start to see the face beginning to droop, all that is a change in the elasticity and the collagen in the skin. So when you're able to introduce a product into the skin that's actually going to reproduce collagen and not cause crazy volume like regular fillers can do, which some people need volume replacement. But this is something for like any age you can start doing, and you're not going to look crazy. You're just going to look and feel fresh and not need makeup. It's one of those things where I'm like, thank you, sweet baby Jesus, for coming into America and getting FDA approved.
Are you able to self-administer? Can you do that to you, or would you go to someone to do it for you?
I do all my own treatments for myself. But yeah, so that is my new favorite beauty treatment that I know is going to be the huge trend coming through. I mean, I'm one of the few practices right now in LA that has it, because me and one of the plastic surgeon who I work with, who's one of the top plastic surgeons, the second we found out it was FDA approved, we got on the bandwagon and ordered it and just got it all delivered. And I already have like a crew of people coming in this weekend that are like, get me on it. Because I had clients from Italy and Europe and Australia who would fly over and they would have me do treatments on them. And they're like, can you please do a round of Profilo on me? And I'm like, I'm not doing anything that's not FDA approved. I'm very minimalistic at this chapter of my life because I've got 2 young kids, and I don't have the capacity anymore to deal with hand-holding with clients feeling scared or a bruise or things that are going to be an issue. I just don't have that in me right now to do that. So I do things that I know are going to be efficient, easy, no downtime, and look amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I mean, that's so crazy to hear about, because I know that hyaluronic acid has been something that if you know anything about the beauty world, you've heard this, you've heard that particular product because it's in a lot of stuff, right? So there's like a hyaluronic acid you can put on your skin. So what is the difference there? Because there's a lot of stuff that's sort of, there's, of course, in the eco world, there's like a lot of greenwashing, but I think in the beauty world, there's a lot of like, oh, there's collagen in this pill, or there's collagen in this drink, or there's the whatever hyaluronic acid in this product. But then there's also like 50 other ingredients in it that are, a little questionable. So then you're like, wait, what am I putting on my skin?
I know.
So with this particular product that you're talking about, are there other things in it, or it's just like hyaluronic acid that you're able to put in to the skin in tiny amounts, and then it does this amazing thing? And do you combine that with things like Botox or other things, or is it just this is one treatment that you do, and then how often do you have to go back and get it done again? Is my other question.
So I'll go through it in steps. So the first thing is how often do you have to do Profilo? So usually you do one treatment of it, and you leave the office and it was like nothing ever happened. So you can't even tell any changes. You'll just notice that you just look a little bit more fresh when you leave the office. And then the changes start to occur over 4 weeks, because that's also as our skin, as we move along with any type of trauma to the skin, which is introducing a product into the skin, is called trauma. We're going to generate new cells, skin turnover, and that takes around 4 to 6 weeks. So you're going to see the enhancement of the product peaking at 4 to 6 weeks. So what they have said and recommended is that you do 2 treatments of it, 4 to 6 week apart, and then you're good. People end up loving this product so much that they end up doing this once a year, based on, a lot of the studies and people talking about it. I'm also a big believer on technique and how much your product placement you are putting in, like anything. So everyone will have a different plan essentially that they'll do. So 2 times you'll get 2 rounds of treatment, 4 to 6 weeks apart, and you can do that once a year. And as for what is in the product, yes, this is a hyaluronic based product, but anytime you're having an injection inside of a syringe is going to have preservatives in it to preserve the actual products. You're not introducing moldy, just non-sterile product into the skin. But this one is just that. Wow. And can you do other treatments alongside of it? So the other 2 treatments that I offer is Botox. So I do Botox in a way that you can still have movement. A lot of my clients are people who are on TV or if they're in camera, so they cannot have that non-expression face.
Yeah.
So as you can see with myself, like I got some squinting here. I got some lines going on here. I don't know if the light's showing them or not, but they're there.
Yeah.
But I like to have movement in the Botox. So when I'm doing that, I'm doing small micro drops and I kind of sporadically spread it around the face. I'll do some in the neck to help keep the neck lifted, relaxing the platysma muscles. Sometimes if people are having jaw tension and pain, which generally happens, especially when we are not sleeping, when we have kids, it's going to cause you to have more tension in the jaw. So I do a lot of releasing acupuncture points, but injecting a neurotoxin, which is Botox, Dysport, Jeuveau. There's so many different brands. Botox is just a brand. Daxify is a new brand that has just come out that is super exciting because it has peptides in it. So this product is now they're saying that you only need to do it like once every 6 months. And it's going to help with the quality of the skin because you're introducing peptides, which are anti-aging and all of that good jazz. But going back to one other thing that I just don't want to forget, because so many people ask this question, how long does Botox last? And everyone calls it Botox because it's what it's been known. But Botox, again, is a neuromodulator, which is what is relaxing your muscles that is going to help soften those lines and wrinkles in the face. It's not doing anything with the volume. It is just softening the wrinkles, softening the fine lines. And so the products, you have a choice to use different brands. So there's the Botox, there's Jeuveau, which is considered Nutox. This one's essentially supposed to last longer, Dysport. And those products flush out of the body within 3 months.
Got it.
It's really important for people to understand that. So people are like, if I do this once, am I going to become addicted to Botox? It's such a common question. I feel like from a lot of the clientele that I attract, because a lot of them are in the wellness world, are very into like being natural and have all these ideas of what being natural is. But yeah, it only lasts for 3 months. And no, you're not going to become addicted to it, but you are going to notice when the Botox leaves and extracts itself through the body. And it's doing its own natural way of metabolizing out of the body. You're going to notice that the lines start to come back, but you're not going to be where you were when you've never done it.
Interesting. Okay.
So Sarah and we are injectable virgins. We have never.
She's like, I know.
Done. She's like, I can tell.
She's like,
by your face.
Yeah.
Actually, I can't. You guys look amazing.
God. Oh my God, you're so sweet.
Oh my God.
But we had this this episode where I was saying, oh my gosh, everyone, and I just got reminded of this just now here with Frankie, who I always call her my baby mama, but she is because Isaac's my baby as well. So she's my baby mama.
Yes.
Anyway, so she was like, Teresa, everybody does it. Teresa, she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I've just never done it. I've never thought about doing it. I haven't done it yet. I've only started thinking about it recently when I'm hearing stories of like, it's people go like they just go to get their nails done. It's just a part of their routine.
It's a part of it's a part of like the upkeep now. And I think it's, again, one of those things that you only, when you start to think about it, like start to educate yourself. Like, that's all it is. It's educating yourself. And my biggest question when someone comes to me as a virgin Botoxer or filler or whatever that is what, because it's usually is a fear for most people. It's usually when they first come in, it's a lot of fear around it. And I think that fear stems from seeing a lot of people in the media change their face. And like, that is something I feel like as sisterhood, as women, like we're oftentimes so easily we'll go behind someone back and be like, oh God, she did a little bit too much Botox. She did it like, why not talk to your friend and be like, have like a really open conversation with them and be like, that there's ways to like reverse some of this. You can remove filler that's gone wrong and looks crazy, or your friend who's like gone overboard with their lip, because that's stemming from something a little bit deeper. And like when you're really wanting to change your face, like there's something going on deeper. And I get it. And I work in that whole world. Like I understand when people do nose jobs. I see people doing facelifts. Like those things are all fine and normal. But like when you're going in and you're literally making your face look like alien, like, which is where the stigma has come from with fear around Botox and filler, like that is going to a provider who is like doing wrong by you, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're putting your worth in your physical appearance, and I think there's that idea that you're chasing a sense of happiness, like externally, like, all right, I'll feel better about myself if I get this thing done, or if I look this way, it will automatically make me feel better. I mean, it's the same with the diet industry. Like if I lose all this weight, I'll feel better. But sometimes it's about, okay, what's the root cause of the feelings? Like what actually is going on with you that you aren't able to cultivate that self-love and self-acceptance. So from that place, if you're in a place of like, actually, I do love myself, I do feel good about myself, like I love doing this little treatment because I love the way it makes my skin look. And, you know, I was
it
talking to Frankie.
enhances what's already beautiful on me.
Yeah.
Like that's where I like to get to that place with my patients. And like, and sometimes that happens over a period of time working with me. It's like me helping explain to them, like, look how amazing you look how beautiful you are. Like I love to look in the mirror with someone after, where literally we actually haven't changed anything, but they're like, I look amazing. But it is a full-on thing in their mind. And like that's where I want it to be. I want someone to have that moment. And then at that point, then you are not okay with having a crazy change in your face, but you're okay with maintaining and looking beautiful in your own natural, unique way, which is that's what I think would be amazing for this whole aesthetic world to go into that mindset, you know?
Yes, definitely. And I think a lot of times it's, you know, just like what you're saying about educating ourselves, like a lot of times it's that we really don't know what it is that somebody does and they, you know, don't disclose it. So then when somebody looks really different, you're like, I don't know what they did, but they obviously did something. And then that seems a little scary because they look so different. I'm curious because this is a question that comes up, I know, for you a lot. Also to us, like after the beauty episode, people were writing us and being like, so when you're pregnant, like, can you use Botox? What are the facial things that I can do during pregnancy or in postpartum when I'm breastfeeding and all of those things? So what can someone do? What products should they avoid during pregnancy, and what treatments should they avoid, or can they do and maybe think they can't?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to obviously always talk with your OB. I am a big advocate for not doing Botox while pregnant because there actually are no studies, because no one's going out and doing like a study to be like a part of a study where you're pregnant and getting Botox to be like, could this potentially harm my baby? Nobody wants to be part of that study. But there actually is no evidence or showing that this actually is passing through the blood barrier, placental barrier. But I'm always like, avoid that, getting an injection of Botox while you're pregnant. Anyway, your face is so different when you're pregnant. You're holding on to water retention. You're swollen. Like that, I think, is no point. I think getting a great skincare routine while you're pregnant is amazing. And it's a part of the self-care, which I think every mom should be doing. Like I am a huge advocate for anything self-care, but I don't think doing lasers is a smart thing, or anything with a ton of heat while you are pregnant, because that can exacerbate having hyperpigmentation, which is so common while we're pregnant because of the hormonal influctuation.
Mine's still there. It's still there.
So there is a treatment for that. A lot of pregnant women come.
But not when you're breastfeeding.
Not when you're breastfeeding, but when you're done. No. When you're done, just know that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. One day you will be done.
I've been breastfeeding straight since 2014. Like literally straight for 9 years.
What year are we in? Oh my Lord.
I know.
That's incredible.
And I want to have more babies. So it's like, I feel like I'll get it off finally in like 5 years from now.
Yeah. And great. There's the light at the end of the tunnel for your skin.
Yeah.
But you can do a treatment called Cosmelan when you are not breastfeeding, when you are not pregnant. Yes. And that one's really helpful in taking off hyperpigmentation caused by pregnancy or you know, or breastfeeding, any of the hormonal inflections. And then obviously wearing a good sunscreen while pregnant, while
really
breastfeeding.
Good. I tried needling. Someone told me needling, and it brought it all to the surface. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's just going to flake off and go away. And it made it so much darker. It was so intense.
So you did microneedling?
I did microneedling. Someone's like, try microneedling for the pigmentation. And I did it. It wasn't great.
Was it a pen microneedling?
Yeah.
Okay, so that I don't recommend while pregnant. But what I do recommend as a facial treatment while pregnant, what I do for a lot of my pregnant mom is aqua gold. So it is different than the pen microneedling. The pen microneedling has a different depth of needle where it's going in a little bit deeper into the skin. That's why you're a little bit red and inflamed for like that week after. And then that depth of the needle, I think, when you're pregnant or breastfeeding, it aggravates the skin too much, bringing too much heat and healing into the first layer of the skin, which is what brings out hyperpigmentation. So on the other hand, what I like to do for women who are pregnant or breastfeeding is aqua gold, which is where I can privately formulate for that pregnant person or breastfeeding mother a solution that I put inside this little cannula, mix it up with a little bit of saline, which is kind of like a water. So it becomes like a water base. And I gently microneedle that into the skin. And because it's not a deep needle, I have never had any issues with anyone having hyperpigmentation from it. In fact, they end up saying that their skin looks glowy. It helps with the fine lines. And that's like the one treatment that I'm like, yes, that's a yes for all pregnant and breastfeeding women. That's a yes for me.
I love it. Okay, so I have a question. So, because I'm still of the world, I'm still here. I don't know if I'll change, but I'm still in the place, I think Sarah is too, where we're like, all right, we want to hold on to not doing injectables. What's another way of saying not doing Botox or
more invasive?
Invasive. That's the word I was looking for, invasive. If I want to hold on to not doing any sort of invasive treatments for however much longer, I think I've decided in my head, like I want to stick with continuing to do the things that I've been doing for as long as I can. And then maybe I'll move into a place where I want to do injectables. And then if I decide to do that, I think just who I am, I feel like I'll be really open about it on Instagram, because I didn't want to be a part of like the narrative of like, oh, wow, look at my perfect skin. And then young women be like, oh, she looks so great, but she's 45 and like, where are her wrinkles? I'd be like, hey guys, just so you know, I have had Botox done or I have had this done. I feel like I would probably be quite open about it with my platform if I ever go down that path.
But Teresa, I have a question. What do you think is making you put this constraint around when or why you would do it?
Well, I've been doing my own self-reflection on it, and I feel like just recently someone said to me, actually they don't think you can play 30 anymore. And I was like, oh, really? This is a casting director. Like said to my agents, oh, Teresa can't play 30 anymore. And I was like, oh, really? I thought that I totally can play a 30-year-old woman. Are you saying like women like me, I don't look 30? And then they were throwing around a few other names of girls who could play 30 and they were the same age as me. And I was like, oh, but I happen to know that they, you know, have a lot more beauty treatments done. And I was like, oh man, am I missing out? Is it starting to affect my career that I've had this boundary? I guess it's a self-imposed boundary with doing injectables. It has led me to go on a self-reflective journey with my relationship to beauty, which is why I brought this up with Sarah in the first place. And I feel like I am so open on my Instagram about various things in my life that I would probably feel okay doing it if I was open about it. I got to the place where I was like, I asked my 15-year-old stepson, I was like, hey, what do you think about like young people doing it and like getting their work done and like doing the selfies and all that sort of stuff? Like, how do you feel about this? And I wrote it down. He was like, I think you should tell people that you get it done because otherwise it's not actually very achievable to look that way without getting Botox. And then a lot of people can't financially prioritize getting treatments like that. So he was like, I think if you should get it, like it could be really cool to start a movement of being like really honest that like, hey, I get this work done. And it was coming from my 15-year-old like little dude. And I was like, oh my God, that's so interesting. I think I would want to do that. I think I probably would want to do that. So anyway, it was a long-winded way of me wanting to ask you, are there other things, or what are the other things that you can do if you're not quite ready to jump into getting Botox, getting injectables, the more invasive treatments? What would you say is like the best that you could offer out there for someone like Sarah and I who are Botox curious but not yet there?
So, I mean, going back to Aqua Gold, I have a lot of clients who say the same thing as you do, actually. This whole thing of like the age thing. Am I looking too young? Am I looking, am I aging up for things? And it's that fascinates me too, because there's a difference when you do. I'll answer your question first. It's Aqua Gold. Aqua Gold is the treatment you can do, which is a microneedling, non-invasive treatment where I can put hyaluronic acid into the little serum and then micro inject it into the skin, where it's going to tighten and brighten your skin, and you're going to look glowy. It's actually effective. It works. Obviously facials are amazing. I get facials all the time. I love it. They're so relaxing, but are they actually doing anything? God only knows, besides for my mental health. That's what it's doing. But I think for something that you want to have, if you're spending money, if you're investing into a treatment that will be effective, and then you're not doing something in your mind that is invasive and causing you to feel anything around it, would be Aqua Gold. And then if you wanted to do something more for like brown spots, pigmentation, which I wouldn't recommend if you are breastfeeding or pregnant, is more of a laser treatment, which again is not invasive because you're not introducing a needle. But I just want to touch base on the one thing that you said about looking too young for something, or looking to like aging you're looking at another person who's the same age as you, who has done stuff and they look younger. Like, so for instance, a treatment like Profilo, you could do that and be 40 years old. You're still going to look 40 years old, but you are going to look like you have been drinking a lot of water and that you have been taking great care of yourself.
I'm really into this Profilo thing, by the way. I'm like super excited.
Me too. It's like I rarely get very excited about beauty treatments because I've been so conflicted in this. I work in this world and I feel so conflicted in it, which is why I went to go work in the healing and Reiki world as well, because I needed to really understand the root of this whole industry. Like, why was I guided? I worked in mental health. I was doing that from 16 to 21. And then all of a sudden I ended up in a famous plastic surgeon's office in New York City on the Upper East Side. I was like, how did I land here?
Wow.
And I'm like, so I have gone through the whole idea around it. And like, the only thing I've come to settle within myself with it and for others, and is this whole idea, like, we are not changing ourselves. We're not aging in any different way. Like, a 40-year-old who does treatments with me still looks like a 40-year-old. They just look fresh.
Okay.
Those glossed off faces, the glossed off faces, the ones that are like super, when you can tell someone has had work done, that in my mind is just a different way of how we as a human race are now conceiving and conceptualizing what beauty is.
It's like a filter face. It's like, I sent a picture the other day. I should put this up for this episode, but I sent a picture to my friend the other day. I was so tired. I'd been up all night with my daughter, and I was kind of making a joke. I was like, oh, I should look through for a filter to send to Anna to be like, oh, hey, by the way, like, I was up all night, as a joke, right? And I took a picture. I took a picture of my face normal, and then I took a picture with a filter, and I was like, wow, this is why there's such a huge issue right now with teenagers, because there's so much of this filter that actually plumps your lips, makes your cheeks a little bit more contoured. Like, this photo was crazy. And I looked like so many women on Instagram that I see all the time. And I was like, wait, this filter just made me look exactly like all these women that I'm like, wow, she has the most perfectly round, plump lips. I've never
the most perfect skin.
Most perfect skin. And I was like, whoa, this is why it's an issue, because people are using it and not like disclosing that they're using it, and then it's a filtered face. So you're right. Like
it's a false sense of reality.
There is a version of this injectable where you see someone with this super gloss skin. It's like obvious that they're doing stuff, and it looks like a filter from Instagram, because it's not the way that skin moves or is, or, you know, like when I talk my neck, you can see like my neck is kind of soft. And if I squeeze it, you're like, she didn't drink water last night or today. But it's like, that's the way that skin is, right? And moves. And do I wish that it was a little fresher? Yes. And that's another reason why having this conversation with you, like, if you can't afford to go and get Botox, or if I can't go get a treatment of Aqua Goat, if I don't have a person I can go to, like, what are some of the products at home that I should like definitely, okay, I should have this in my cabinet. I should have a serum for night, or a mask that I use, or like, what is something, it doesn't even have to be a brand name, or you can say brand names if you have some that you love.
Yeah.
I just mean like, I a lot of times will look at a brand, because I'm a skincare junkie, and I'll look at a brand and I'll go, okay, oh my gosh, look at this amazing line of stuff. But then I don't even really know how to use what's there. Most of the time, I'm rubbing stuff into my skin. And then I saw Jonathan Van Ness do a tutorial about how you're actually supposed to like press certain things into your skin. And I was like, I've never done that.
Yeah.
And I love that now I know. So like, what are some things that people can use at home that would be effective for them to give them that fresh, like glowy vibe?
So I love making a skincare routine really simple and effective. I'm a huge believer in exfoliation in order to have really dewy, beautiful skin. I don't think over exfoliating is a good idea. I think using an exfoliator once a week, if you're an average skin type, just with if you have a random pimple here or there, still average in my eyes. That's hormonal acne. But I think if you incorporate a great granule scrub once a week, you will, just from that alone, you're going to see a change in your skin. Like, I can't tell you how people don't exfoliate weekly. They're like, oh, I do like once in a while when I go to get a facial or here and there, but an exfoliator once a week, it's amazing. I love Cora Organics.
So do I.
Miranda. Yeah, I love Miranda. She's amazing.
I see you work with her.
Yeah, yes, I love her. And so her scrub is one of my favorite scrubs. It's granular. It's great. I love Obagi. They make an incredible scrub. The Cora, I believe, is a little bit more cost effective, and it's obviously organic. The Obagi is more medical grade. Both, different spectrums, but great quality products that you're going to see results from. So a scrub, amazing to have. An incredible skin cleanser, I think, is so important. Obviously, to take off the day and the grime. That's the daily use, a scrub. A good sunblock.
Yes.
Essential if you want to just, I actually been loving this IT Cosmetics sunblock.
I'm writing that down.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll send it to you. IT Cosmetics. Okay. And then you can get it kind of like, there's a tint to it. I use the tinted one because I like to be simple with a makeup routine, obviously with the kids. Yeah. So in the morning time, use a cleanser and a little bit of moisturizer. I like the IS Clinical moisturizer, the hydrating moisturizer. Yeah. If you're wanting to use a moisturizer, I use an oil a lot because I'm a huge fan of oils. Obviously, I make my skincare oil. It's called the Reset. And that has vitamin C in it, rose, CBD, all things that are very calming and invigorating to the skin. Wow. So I think that's why I like that product, because it's just all in one, everything. And you can use it. I use a vitamin C once a day, which is anti-aging, antioxidant, all that. So I would just do a cleanser. I use a one-step oil, or I use a moisturizer, depending on how my skin is doing. And then at nighttime, I'll do a little bit more of a routine. But I think because in the morning time, I just don't have time to do a proper skincare routine. So at nighttime, I'll cleanse. I'll do some moisturizer on. Recently I've been using an eye cream. I actually never used to use eye cream, but my friend started the company Beverly Hills MD. They have a really nice hydrating eye cream.
I need that.
And it was funny, like for a long time I was like, nobody get eye creams. You don't need to do that, because like it would cause milia under people's eyes. It would block their eyes all up.
Yeah.
And I've been sent tons of different brands and things like that. And I don't know, this particular product, I was like, oh, okay, wake up and I don't have like those random little like sleepy lines that you get from like, because I'm a side sleeper, so I'm like smushed. So I've been using that recently. Just because I've been having like fun dabbing it in. Again, that's a patter. An eye cream is always a patter, not a rubber.
Yes.
A patter.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, and then I just use an oil, and then I incorporate the scrubbing once a week. And then sometimes I'll use an oil cleanser, because if I'm too dry, like recently I just had come back from being Living Libations has a great oil cleanser. And so many people are worried about using oils because they're like, am I going to break out? Da, 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 da. And some people break out from oils, and it's just, you just haven't found the right one for you. But I do think there's a world where there is an oil that will not cause irritation, because it's always usually like one small ingredient that someone has a sensitivity to.
I love an oil. I love the way, and I actually would say I'm the opposite to oily skin. I'm a little bit more dry. But I use an oil to take off my makeup, and then the oil just sits and looks really dewy as well.
So even gorgeous.
In the day, I put like a serum or an oil on, and for me, that is my favorite thing to do with my skin is oils. Oils for everything. I used to use Sarah's Bayo to take off. I've run out of it again, Sarah. So.
I love Bayo.
Oh my God,
more
I
coming.
love Bayo.
It's so good. Oh my gosh.
I know I've run out of it. That's why I say I used to use it. Now I've had to move on to some coconut oil that I found in the kitchen.
It's okay. I can send you more.
Yeah. Do you know what? And even for your hair as well. It's been so good for my hair. My hair's been dyed a million times. Yeah, I'll actually do a coconut oil, and I'll put my head in cling wrap and let it like sit there and like infuse in the oil. I really love doing that. It's very conditioning. But I love that you said that about the oil, because I've been trying to say that to people like, oh, use an oil, because then it leaves your skin looking really like fresh and shiny
plump,
and dewy.
Plump.
Yeah. I was on your Instagram and I saw that you work with so many huge celebrities, and you get them ready for, Hollywood's most exciting parties like Vanity Fair and the Met Gala. Oh my goodness. My favorite night of my life was going to the Met. Oh my gosh, that's such a party. So you get these girls ready for a big event like that. For our listeners who are out there and they have an event coming up, or maybe it's their 30th birthday party or just something, what do you do with these celebrity clients to get them ready for such a big red carpet event such as the Met Gala?
So I'll do what I call a Reiki facial. So what I usually will do is a cleanser, clean the whole face off, and I'll do massage. And I can actually show you, as I was going to say, with an oil, like how to do a little lymphatic massage.
I want to see that.
So I'll do a little massage, moving through the chin, up the jawline, starting at the nose, moving up the cheekbone, and then around the forehead, lifting everything up just to open up the face. But I'll always do a cleanser. I'll do a scrub. I'll add in some dermaplaning, which you can actually get a tool at home for those of you who are doing your own little mini facials at home. And I've had a few clients use Dermaflash, which I think is like a little at-home one. I'm not huge at like advocating doing dermaplaning at home because you can nick yourself and you don't want to do that. Because I use a medical grade blade to do mine, but taking off those fine hairs and doing a manual exfoliation is what I do for them. And then again, I will use an oil to do the lymphatic drainage. And then I'll oftentimes do some aqua gold just to brighten and tighten the skin. And then at the end, I'll do a guided meditation just to really relax the nervous system, because I have found through my own practice and through the clients that I've worked with, when we go into that place, the meditative state where you can actually slow down the mind, slow down the thoughts, slow down and relax the muscles in the face. When they come out of that, even a 5-minute guided meditation, which is, I kind of sometimes, if someone has not done meditation before, I'll do a yoga nidra, just visualization of shutting down each muscle in the face, in the body. And when they come out of that, they just look fresh and bright. I mean, there's something magical about that when your whole nervous system is actually relaxed, you come out and you look more youthful. Like that to me is
so
magic.
Rare to have that kind of reset, I think. It's so like, even you, honestly, you just saying that to me, I was like, oh, I was feeling my body like, oh, wouldn't that be so nice just to go back to center, like check in with yourself. And those red carpet events, like I've been to some of the most insane experiences on the red carpet, and this is probably not very relatable to most people listening, but at the Met Gala, I remember my heart was pounding through, like just through my chest, and there's so much stimulation, and it's just like really over the top, and colors and noises and people, and I was so nervous, and I just can imagine how calming and wonderful that experience is, like setting you up for having a good evening to go out and be sociable. And some people have social anxiety who are listening. Like we have people write in all the time saying like, oh yeah, I'm dealing with anxiety and I'm more of a homebody. And like, I love the idea of incorporating meditation into your beauty practice. What an interesting concept. I think that I haven't heard of that before, and I just can imagine how wonderful and beneficial that is.
Oh my gosh, I'm such a believer in it. I feel like, well, I know as a witness, my friends who are deep into their yogic practice and in that world, they're aging differently. Obviously, a lot of them are like eating very clean and differently too, but there is something when your mind and your body are at some level of equilibrium in that peace, your muscles and the tension in the face are just not happening in the same way. Like, think about as mothers, as wives, as partners, as people living out, doing like the normal daily routines, like stresses, when we get angry, when we go like, we're like, what the heck's happening? Like all those things, like we're constantly making extreme expression. So anyway, those who are able to be in that place of stillness in the face and in the mind and the body, like it actually, you can visualize and see the muscles relaxing. And as the muscles relax, that's actually what's going to relax the fine lines and wrinkles, giving you that more fresh, brighter look. And obviously before a big event, it's so nice to connect into yourself and remembering why you're there, what got you there, and all of those things around the gratitude practice. And then also I'm a big believer in connecting into your guides and being like, protect me tonight and protect me in all that white light and keep me safe and keep me happy and keep me joyous and like radiating whatever it is that I want to radiate out into this setting.
So my vibes. I love that.
I know, Teresa. I told you. I was like, you're gonna love her so much.
I was like, oh, it's so cool. I love that both things can coexist. It's just such an interesting idea.
Definitely. I mean, when there's a friend of mine who her name's Alice, and she does makeup and for like big celebrities and stuff on set, and she always does these like little mini facials before she does someone's makeup, like on a movie set or whatever. And she started a line called Kyushi Skincare, and I love her oil. But she talks about like, okay, taking a beat, like after cleansing, now you're like, put the oil in your hands and then take a deep inhale and like, kind of clear your mind and like exhale. And then you're like putting the oil on your skin. And I love that because I think, really does give you just that simple thing, that moment to like calm, relax, and just sort of like set your intention for the day. If you can do that when you're just like trying to get ready in the morning, it makes me so happy to like take 3 minutes and do that. And then also in the evenings. But talking about your Reiki, because I think that's fascinating as well. So you have this practice where you are doing these other treatments, and those, I'm so excited about some of those that you were discussing. But then also this like Reiki practice. I know that when you and I talked, a couple of years ago, you were talking about how during that you also songwrite and you like help people sort of clear space as well. And like you work with a lot of like songwriters and singers and stuff like that. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you sort of found your way into that world? And is that through some of this like meditation practice?
Yeah, I definitely found myself working in the Reiki world because I was going on my yogic path and meditation practice. And I just found I had done a Reiki session with one of my teachers, and it was just this really beautiful clearing moment for me. And I was like, I want to give this power to other people because like they can, because all Reiki is just connecting to your own inner power. Every one of us has that. And it's just reminding you. And I feel like all of us are showing up as mirrors to remind each other when we are, as women, remind each other of our beauty, of our power, of our connection to ourselves, to source. And so the Reiki for me was really, really interesting when I saw the change in people's face looking fresh and beautiful after doing those sessions. I'm like, wow, like this is so interconnected. And like that for me was really interesting. And then obviously bringing it into songwriting for me, like I love creating, I love being a part of witnessing someone who is in their place of connection to their inner artist, which is the connection into your home, into yourself. And I found that when I was doing my healing treatments on singers, songwriters, and they were able to express that, I was like, oh, this feels good to me too. Because I'm definitely someone who likes to do, one day I'll do the aesthetic stuff. One day I'm going to do songwriting. One day I help my husband with his movie stuff. Like I'm definitely not someone who stays in one chat, like one little kind of like box
lane.
So yeah, and it's fine for those who do, but it just like my brain just gets excited. I need to be inspired. And
me too.
And the music inspires me. Like I have heard some of the most incredible voices sing in front of me, and I like look up to the sky and I'm like, wow. Like just to be a witness to that from touch to somebody, I'm like, God, like this is stunning. And all I'm doing is just reminding that artist who they are and who they want to express themselves as. So we get this really intimate, vulnerable moment together where they're, releasing. And for me, that is healing. And obviously songwriting and music is a form of healing and expression. And for me to be able to witness that, I'm like, oh, like amazing.
How incredible. How amazing. You're unlocking someone's creativity as well and like helping to break down barriers. Oh, yeah. It sounds, what incredible work. I just have never heard of those things. I feel like exactly what you said about how so many people have their lanes that they stick in. And I love that you're like, actually, I'm going to weave all these different things into each other because like all of it, there is space for all of these things to work and be interconnected. I think it's really inspiring.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Well, I also think it's the way I think that's going to be like our generation of kids. Like, I think the world is changing so much for these young kids. Like I have a lot of young kids who come into me for treatments. And I will tell young kids, no, we don't need to do that to your lips. You just don't need that. You don't need to look like this person. And I think, and just hearing their feedback of like, just being like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, and then they'll end up being like having like a little therapy session with them. And it's so interesting to me. It's like, you don't have to do one thing. And I think for so long, we all thought, okay, we become this nurse and we are a nurse for the rest of our life. We become a painter and we're going to be a painter for the rest of our life. Or like, like we just we put these things, these constraints on ourselves and judgments and all these things. And I am definitely someone who likes to help break someone free of those ideas.
I love
you're
that.
so inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Nousha, can you tell us where can people find you? And everyone's going to now want to fly to Los Angeles and come and book a session with you. They're like, oh my gosh, you're so wonderful. But yes, where can we find you on Instagram? Do you have a website? All those things.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at Nurse Nousha, and the website's on there. It's rejuvenatewithnousha.com. And that's kind of it. You just go on
and
there.
What about your products? Can we buy?
Yeah.
Do you sell that internationally?
Yes. So this is the Reset face oil. And again, Sarah, what you were talking about with your friend, like I called it the Reset. So it could be a reminder for those who are using it to take a moment, reset, come up with your intention of what you want for your day, and give yourself a little face massage and tenderness and love. And there's rose in here specifically because that activates the heart chakra and it activates that feeling of connecting into the love space, self-love.
And if somebody was going to do a massage on their face, like where is that what you're doing? Okay, so if anybody's watching this, then watch this moment. I know, watch this moment. But also we'll use this clip for Instagram as well. So like you start at your chin and then you work
I'm
out.
always like, start at your chin, make your little fingers connected. Your pointer finger and your middle finger, start at your chin and like kind of like little mini forks or wedges. And it can be like your own little gua sha and put some good pressure on it and move up the chin and literally move along and go all the way back to the back of the ear. Because that's where that lymphatic spot is going to go to really allow that fluid and that tightening to happen if you pull it all back. And then again, I always do things in threes just because time, whatever. And you can literally do this in a minute. Do 3. And then you're going to do a section of 3 too. So 3, and then start at the nasolabial fold, right at the corner of your nose and underneath the bone and above the bone. So you can separate your fingers at that point, under the cheekbone and above the cheekbone, and go upward. Funny faces.
Wow. Hi.
I know. I'm like, my nails are a little long. I have to like.
Sarah's got a baby on her boob.
A side V.
I know.
Do it to the baby. Do it to the baby.
I know.
And then always around the forehead, you start at the middle between in the third eye space, activating the third eye space, coming up with your intention for the day, how you want it to go, and then lifting up, putting pressure, and do that again 3 times.
That feels so nice.
This feels so good.
You're like doing your own little massage for yourself. 3, and then if you have more time, do it 6 times. You know, everything's on time.
Look at how much
so that's the reset.
Look at my reset face.
You look reset.
Look how reset I am.
I'm so reset. Okay, we're getting
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nousha.
Thank you so much for coming on our show. You guys can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And go check out Nurse Nousha. And Nousha, I'm coming over. I want to do a facial. And also maybe some of that hyaluronic acid.
We'll call it non-invasive.
Thank you.
Yeah, there we go.
Bye guys. Have an amazing day.